Everyone believes they understand why people act the way they do, but the truth is, the mind works in fascinating and mysterious ways. Every action, behaviour, and thought is influenced by complex psychological forces we often don't even notice. Let's dive into some psychological facts that reveal the hidden truths behind human behaviour. 1. Your brain is constantly predicting what's going to happen next. The human brain is like a prediction machine. It's constantly taking in information from the environment and using it to anticipate what's next. This process helps you act more efficiently and react faster to your surroundings. When you walk into a room and someone smiles at you, your brain doesn't just perceive that person's facial expression in the present, it's already making a prediction based on your past experiences. It predicts that this person is friendly or that something positive is about to happen, so you respond in kind. This predictive mechanism not only saves mental energy, but also allows us to anticipate threats. The brain's ability to predict based on past events can explain why you sometimes feel like you knew something was going to happen even before it did. It's your brain's way of making the world more understandable and navigable. 2. Your emotions can influence your memory. Memories are not as fixed as they may seem. While we like to think of memories as clear snapshots of past events, they are often influenced by our emotional states at the time of recall. The brain is highly emotional when it comes to storing memories. Events tied to intense emotions, whether positive or negative, tend to be remembered more vividly than neutral events. For instance, if you were extremely happy or sad during a particular moment, your brain is more likely to encode that event with greater detail. However, the emotions that come with the memory can distort it over time. The brain tends to fill in gaps with emotion-laden information, which can make certain memories feel more intense or more important than they might have originally been. This emotional imprint on memories can sometimes cause us to recall events with a sense of nostalgia or, conversely, with regret, even if the facts of the event don't align with how we feel about it now. 3. People tend to remember faces better than names. This is because the brain is specialized in facial recognition. There are specific neural regions, like the fusiform face area, that are dedicated to identifying faces. Over time, humans have evolved to be exceptionally good at distinguishing faces, which was crucial for social bonding and survival. This ability allows us to instantly recognize friends and acquaintances and assess emotional cues from others. However, when it comes to names, our brains rely on different systems for memory that require more effort and cognitive energy. As a result, people often struggle to recall names, especially when meeting a lot of new faces at once. This is why, even if you can recognize someone immediately, you might not recall their name right away. It's not that you're forgetful, it's just the way your brain processes visual information versus verbal information. 4. Your brain can trick you into believing something that isn't true. The brain is designed to make quick decisions based on available information. However, this means it can also fall prey to cognitive biases. For example, the brain has a tendency to believe things that fit its existing beliefs, even when there is no factual basis for those beliefs. The confirmation bias is a perfect example of this. This bias causes us to look for evidence that supports what we already think, ignoring or dismissing information that contradicts our views. This is why it's so difficult to change someone's mind once they've formed an opinion. They're not consciously resisting new information, but their brain is naturally filtering out anything that doesn't align with their preconceptions. This mechanism helped humans survive by making decisions quickly, but in today's complex world, it can sometimes lead to errors in judgment and reasoning. 5. People are more likely to follow the behaviour of others when they're uncertain. Humans are inherently social creatures, and we often look to others for guidance when we're unsure about how to behave. This is particularly true in ambiguous situations. The brain naturally seeks social validation and cues from others to to make sense of uncertain circumstances. For example, if you're in an unfamiliar place, like a foreign country, and you don't know how to behave, you'll likely look to the locals to guide your actions. This instinct is known as social proof, and it helps individuals fit in with groups and avoid standing out. It's why trends and social movements can spread quickly. People look to others to determine what's acceptable or popular, even if they don't fully understand the rationale behind it. The brain uses social proof as a shortcut to help you make quick decisions without having to process every detail. 6. The halo effect causes us to make sweeping judgments based on first impressions. When we notice one positive trait in a person, whether it's their physical appearance, kindness, or confidence, we often assume they have other positive qualities as well. This is called the halo effect, and it can significantly distort our judgment. For instance, if someone is attractive, we might subconsciously assume they're also smart or friendly, even if we have no evidence to support that assumption. On the flip side, if someone has a negative first impression, we may think they're rude or incompetent, even if their actions don't entirely support that view. The halo effect shows how our brains tend to generalize based on limited information, and it can cause us to overlook other important factors that don't align with our initial impressions. 7. Fear can make your brain more focused. When faced with a threatening or dangerous situation, the brain releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals sharpen your focus, increase alertness, and prepare your body for fight or flight responses. This reaction, while essential for survival, can also make you more alert and focused on the task at hand. This is why some people perform better under pressure. Fear can block out distractions and make you concentrate intensely on the immediate threat. However, while fear can increase focus, chronic fear or anxiety can have the opposite effect. Over time, prolonged stress can actually impair cognitive function and reduce your ability to make clear decisions. 8. Your brain struggles to differentiate between a real and imagined experience. The power of the mind is extraordinary. When you vividly imagine an experience, whether it's a joyful moment, a stressful situation, or even something as mundane as eating your favorite food, your brain processes it as if it were actually happening. This phenomenon is why athletes use visualization techniques to improve performance. When they imagine performing well, the brain activates similar neural pathways to those used when actually performing the action. The same concept applies to negative experiences. Imagining a stressful event can create a real sense of anxiety and fear, which is why thoughts can sometimes feel like tangible experiences. The brain is not always aware of the difference between what's real and what's imagined, which can have a significant impact on our emotional and physical states. 9. People are more likely to act impulsively when they're tired. When you're tired, your brain doesn't process information as efficiently as it does when you're well rested. Sleep deprivation impairs decision-making by weakening the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking and self-control. This makes it harder to weigh the consequences of your actions, leading to impulsive behavior. For example, when you're tired, you might make unhealthy food choices, skip a workout, or make a risky decision without considering the long-term effects. That's why experts recommend getting enough sleep, not just for physical health, but also for mental clarity and emotional regulation. 10. People are more likely to remember the beginning and the end of an experience. This phenomenon, known as the serial position effect, refers to the tendency to remember the first and last parts of an event more vividly than the middle. This bias has profound implications for everything from job interviews to speeches to relationships. If you start strong and finish well, people are more likely to remember the experience overall, even if the middle is forgettable. This is why your opening statement in a presentation is crucial. It sets the tone, and if you finish with something memorable, you'll leave a lasting impression. 11. Your brain tends to focus on negative information more than positive. This is known as negativity bias, a natural tendency for your brain to give more weight to negative experiences than positive ones. From an evolutionary standpoint, this bias helped our ancestors focus on threats or dangers in order to survive. As a result, negative experiences, whether it's a harsh comment or a stressful event, tend to stick in your memory longer than positive experiences. This bias affects your everyday life, making you more sensitive to criticism than compliments. It's why one negative comment can overshadow numerous positive ones, and why bad events often feel more significant than good ones. Overcoming this bias requires conscious effort to shift focus to the positive, but doing so can improve mental resilience and well-being. 12. Your brain can get addicted to stress. While we often think of addiction as being linked to substances like alcohol or drugs, the brain can also become addicted to stress. The rush of adrenaline and cortisol during stressful moments can feel addictive, making you crave that intensity even when it's harmful. People who thrive on high-pressure situations, or those who constantly face deadlines, may feel a sense of exhilaration from stress. Over time, this can lead to unhealthy patterns of behaviour, where the body becomes so used to being in a state of heightened stress that it becomes difficult to feel relaxed. Learning to manage stress and finding balance is crucial to breaking this cycle and protecting mental health. 13. The human brain can't focus on multiple tasks at once. This is a common misconception. While you may think you're multitasking, your brain is actually switching back and forth between tasks. This switching takes cognitive resources and reduces efficiency, which can lead to mistakes. When you're juggling multiple tasks, you're dividing your attention across them, and as a result, each task suffers in terms of quality and focus. Studies have shown that multitasking can even lower IQ temporarily and increase mental fatigue. Instead of multitasking, focusing on one thing at a time can increase productivity and improve performance across the board. The brain works best when it can dedicate full attention to one task rather than splitting its focus. 14. Your brain has a limited capacity for decision making. The paradox of choice explains why having too many options can actually lead to stress and indecision. The brain has a finite amount of cognitive resources, and constantly making decisions drains these resources. As a result, when faced with too many choices, the brain becomes overwhelmed, leading to a decision-making paralysis or the decision to opt for the easiest option. This is why people often feel overwhelmed by long shopping lists or complicated tasks. They have to use a significant amount of cognitive energy to make decisions, which can lead to exhaustion and poor choices. To combat this, reducing the number of options or simplifying choices can enhance clarity and improve decision-making. 15. People tend to remember faces more than names. This is due to the specialized processing systems in the brain designed for face recognition. Our brains are equipped with areas specifically dedicated to recognizing faces, making it easier to spot a familiar face in a crowd, even after a long time. In contrast, names don't have the same specialized neural systems, and they require more cognitive effort to recall. While faces are processed in the fusiform face area, names are stored and retrieved from the brain's memory systems, which are not as specialized. This is why you can easily recognize a person you've met before, but remembering their name takes more time and effort. 16. People make snap judgments based on appearance. The brain is constantly making quick judgments about others, often within milliseconds of meeting someone. This phenomenon, known as thin slicing, is when the brain makes rapid decisions based on limited information, such as someone's facial expression, body language, or voice tone. These snap judgments often occur unconsciously and can shape the way we interact with people, sometimes even before we know anything about them. While this can be useful in making quick decisions in social situations, it can also lead to biases and misjudgments based on appearance alone, which is why it's important to challenge first impressions and give people a chance to reveal more about themselves. 17. Your brain responds more to negative feedback than positive feedback. This is another example of the brain's negativity bias, where negative experiences, such as criticism or failure, activate stronger emotional responses and are stored more vividly in memory. In contrast, positive feedback tends to be processed in a more neutral or less intense way. The reason for this is rooted in survival instincts. Negative feedback or criticism could represent a threat, so the brain prioritizes it in order to prevent future mistakes. This can be frustrating, as we tend to focus on our flaws or failures rather than our successes. To improve resilience, it's important to consciously focus on the positive and balance negative feedback with affirmations of success. 18. Humans are wired to be social creatures. The brain is hardwired to seek connection with others, as social bonding has played a critical role in human survival. The release of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, helps foster trust, empathy, and attachment between individuals. This is why social interactions, whether they're with family, friends, or even strangers, can lift your mood and improve your mental health. The need for social connection is so strong that people who are isolated or lack close relationships often experience symptoms similar to physical pain. This underscores the importance of nurturing social bonds for both emotional and physical well-being. 19. The brain's default mode network is active when you're doing nothing. When your mind is at rest, like during daydreaming or idle moments, the brain's default mode network, DMN, is activated. This network is involved in processes like mind wandering, self-reflection, and social cognition. While the DMN is often associated with idle moments, it's actually important for problem solving and creative thinking. Many people have moments of insight or come up with their best ideas when they're not focused on anything specific. This is why sometimes the best ideas come to you when you're doing something mundane, like walking or taking a shower. Your brain is allowing itself to make connections that it doesn't have the mental space for when it's focused on tasks. 20. People can pick up on micro-expressions that reveal hidden emotions. Micro-expressions are tiny, involuntary facial expressions that occur within a fraction of a second. These expressions can reveal hidden emotions, such as anger, fear, or disgust, even when someone is trying to hide them. The human brain is highly attuned to these subtle cues, often recognizing them without conscious awareness. This is why you can sometimes sense when someone is lying or feeling uncomfortable, even if they're trying to appear calm or composed. Being able to read these micro-expressions gives humans an evolutionary advantage, allowing us to detect potential threats or deception in social situations. 21. Your brain can trick you into thinking something is familiar. This is known as the familiarity heuristic, and it happens when you perceive something or someone as familiar simply because it resembles something you've encountered before. The brain tends to make these quick judgments to conserve energy and avoid overthinking. However, this can also lead to false memories or mistaken recognition. For example, you might feel that someone is familiar because their face or voice reminds you of a friend or family member, even though you've never met them. The brain's reliance on familiarity can be helpful for quick decision-making, but it can also lead to misidentifications or biases. 22. Your brain is constantly judging the emotions of others. Humans are exceptional at reading other people's emotions, even when they don't speak a word. The brain uses both conscious and subconscious processes to decode facial expressions, body language, and vocal tones to determine how someone is feeling. This ability to quickly assess others' emotional states is essential for social interactions, as it helps you respond appropriately in different situations. The mirror neurons in your brain allow you to feel empathy and react to another person's emotional state almost instantly, which is why you can often feel someone's pain or joy just by observing them. 23. Stress can actually improve your performance in the short term. Stress isn't always harmful. In small doses, stress can sharpen your focus and enhance your performance, especially in high-stakes situations. This is because stress activates the fight or flight response, releasing adrenaline and cortisol that heighten your alertness, increase your heart rate, and prepare your body for action. This heightened state of arousal can help you perform well during presentations, exams, or sports events. However, chronic stress can have detrimental effects on the brain, leading to burnout, anxiety, and physical health issues. It's all about balance. Stress can be useful for motivation, but long-term exposure can overwhelm the system. 24. The brain needs downtime to function optimally. While it may seem counterintuitive, the brain is not built for constant work or stimulation. Just like the body, the brain needs rest and recovery to function properly. Studies show that taking breaks, especially in the form of naps, can significantly improve focus, memory, and learning. The brain uses downtime to consolidate memories and integrate information. Without rest, cognitive function diminishes and productivity decreases. This is why taking short breaks throughout the day and getting adequate sleep is crucial for maintaining mental sharpness and overall brain health. 25. People tend to seek social validation from others. Humans have an innate desire to be liked and accepted by others, which is why we often seek validation in the form of compliments, likes on social media, or approval from peers. The brain's dopamine system rewards us when we receive positive feedback, which reinforces the desire for social acceptance. This need for validation is so strong that it can influence decisions, behaviors, and self-worth. While it's normal to want approval, too much reliance on external validation can lead to anxiety and insecurity. True self-esteem comes from internal validation, not just from what others think of you.
1. Women remember the emotions, not just the words. When a woman hears something, she doesn't just record the sentence like a tape recorder. She absorbs how it was said. The tone, the tension, the softness, the slight hesitation in a voice. That emotional layer gets stored much deeper in her memory than the literal words themselves. That's why she can look at someone years later and remember exactly how that moment made her feel, even when the details of the conversation are blurry. For women, emotions are not background noise. They're the foundation. This is also why careless tones can cut deeper than careless words. What you say might fade, but how you made her feel becomes a permanent chapter in her emotional memory. 2. A woman's silence can say more than 1,000 words. When she goes silent, it's not always indifference. Sometimes, silence is what happens when every explanation has already been given, every emotion already spilled. It's not weakness. It's power. It's protection. It's the point where she decides her peace matters more than being understood by someone who isn't listening. People often misread a woman's silence as coldness, but in truth, it's often the sound of someone who has simply learned not to waste her words on ears that don't care. That silence is heavy. It's not empty. And if you've ever seen a woman choose silence over speaking, you've witnessed strength disguised as stillness. 3. Women smile even when they're broken inside. Many women learn from a young age to smile through pain. Society often teaches them that quiet strength is admirable, that vulnerability is weakness, that being too emotional makes them less believable. So they wear a smile even when it hurts. It's not because they don't feel pain. It's because they've learned to protect their hearts from the world's judgment. That soft smile can be a mask, a wall, and a quiet scream all at once. And those who see only the surface will never understand how much strength it takes to smile through the ache. 4. Women form emotional bonds faster and deeper. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, plays a powerful role in how women emotionally connect. When a woman starts trusting someone, her brain creates a deeper emotional attachment far quicker than she may even realize. That's why betrayal cuts so sharply. To her, a bond isn't just a moment. It's a thread woven into her sense of safety. Once that trust is established, she lets down walls that were built from years of pain, insecurity, and hard lessons. She doesn't just connect with words. She connects with energy, with consistency, with how someone shows up when the world gets loud. 5. A woman who seems cold has usually been warm too many times. That distant woman who appears untouchable wasn't always that way. Most of the time, she's the woman who gave too much of herself in the past, her patience, her trust, her heart, only to be left carrying shards of it alone. Coldness isn't her nature. It's her defense. It's a quiet warning. I've been here before, and I won't break the same way twice. Beneath the layers of calm detachment, there's often a soul that once loved fearlessly. 6. Women notice energy before words. A woman can walk into a room and instantly feel when something's off. She may not have proof, but she senses it. The shift in tone, the subtle change in rhythm, the way someone avoids her eyes. This heightened sensitivity isn't weakness. It's emotional intelligence sharpened through years of observing, adapting, and surviving. She doesn't need an explanation. She reads the air. 7. A woman who loves deeply remembers details forever. When a woman truly loves, she remembers things you didn't even notice you did. She remembers how your voice cracked at 2 a.m. when you finally opened up. She remembers your favorite snack on days you were exhausted. She remembers what made you laugh, what made you quiet, what made you real. Love for her isn't just a feeling. It's a map of everything that made the connection feel alive. 8. Women forgive faster than they heal. When a woman says, "It's okay," it often isn't. It's her way of holding peace together while she bleeds on the inside. Forgiveness for her isn't erasure, it's survival. But wounds don't disappear just because she decided to forgive. They stay, quietly shaping how she moves, how she trusts, how she protects herself the next time. 9. Women feel emotions in layers, not lines. Emotions for a woman are rarely black and white. She can feel joy and grief in the same breath. She can love someone deeply while knowing she needs to walk away. She can smile while her heart aches. These layered emotions are part of what makes her both delicate and fierce. To understand her, you have to stop looking for simple answers. 10. When a woman trusts you, you hold a fragile power. Earning her trust isn't a game. It's a slow, quiet unfolding of everything she's kept hidden. When she chooses to trust, she isn't just handing over secrets. She's handing over the softest, most unguarded part of her soul. If you ever hold a woman's trust in your hands, know that breaking it doesn't just change how she sees you. It changes how she sees the world. 11. When a woman starts distancing herself, it's not random. It's a decision born in silence. People often think emotional distance happens overnight, but with women, it almost never does. Before she pulls away, she notices every subtle shift. She absorbs every quiet betrayal, every small disappointment, every moment someone made her feel unseen. She collects them like pebbles in her pocket until one day the weight becomes too heavy. That's when she retreats. Her silence isn't sudden. It's a quiet answer to pain she never spoke about. She doesn't slam the door. She simply stops standing in it. 12. Women protect their hearts long after they've been broken. When someone breaks a woman's heart, it doesn't just heal and reset. A part of her starts guarding every doorway to her soul. She questions kindness. She replays motives. She becomes careful with who she lets close. It's not coldness, it's survival. She's rebuilding trust in the world, brick by brick, hoping someone will be patient enough to stay while she learns to open up again. 13. A woman's laughter can be a shield as much as it is a song. When a woman laughs, the world sees joy. But sometimes, that laugh is hiding something she can't explain. Humor is often a defense mechanism, a soft veil over a scarred heart. It's easier to laugh than to bleed in front of people who might not understand. Her laughter isn't fake. It's layered. It's joy and pain coexisting in one beautiful sound. 14. Women have a unique ability to love broken things. A woman can love someone who doesn't see their own worth. She can hold a storm in her hands and call it home. She can pour light into places where no one else dared to go. This is both her gift and her curse. She sees potential where others see problems. But if that love isn't returned with the same depth, it starts to drain her slowly, piece by piece. 15. When a woman walks away quietly, it's the loudest goodbye. A woman rarely explodes when she's done. She doesn't beg, doesn't scream. She simply walks away with everything she gave, her love, her trust, her fire, and leaves silence behind. That silence is the echo of every chance she offered, every late-night prayer for things to change. When she walks away quietly, it's because she's already screamed in her heart 1,000 times. 16. Women often carry other people's pain like their own. Women have an incredible emotional capacity. They absorb the pain of those they love as if it's their own. They worry deeply, feel deeply, care deeply, sometimes to the point of forgetting themselves. That empathy can heal others, but it can also break her if no one ever thinks to ask, "How are you doing?" A woman who carries the world in her chest eventually needs someone to carry her too. 17. When a woman is soft, it's not weakness, it's courage. Being soft in a world that has hardened her is an act of rebellion. A woman who loves despite being hurt, who trusts despite being betrayed, who smiles despite the weight on her shoulders. That's not fragile. That's powerful. Her softness is her weapon. It's proof she refused to let the world make her bitter. 18. A woman who feels deeply also remembers longer. Pain doesn't just pass through her. It roots itself, like ink soaking into paper. She may forgive, she may smile, she may even move on. But somewhere inside her, that memory lives on as a lesson, as a scar, as a reminder. And those who mistake her forgiveness for forgetfulness will learn just how sharp a quiet memory can be. 19. Women often hold back tears, not because they don't want to cry, but because they're tired of not being understood. She's cried before. She's explained before. She's opened up before. And too many times, it didn't change a thing. So now, when the pain rises in her chest, she swallows it down and turns it into silence. Not because she doesn't feel it, but because she's learned the world doesn't always hear women when they speak softly. 20. When a woman loves herself, she becomes untouchable. The most powerful transformation is when a woman stops seeking validation from others and starts giving it to herself. She learns that she doesn't need to beg to be chosen. She doesn't need to shrink to be loved. When she loves herself, she walks differently. She speaks differently. And suddenly, what once broke her no longer has power over her. That's not arrogance, that's liberation. 21. Women remember the moments they stopped explaining. There comes a point in many women's lives where they stop trying to convince someone of their worth, their feelings, or their pain. That moment is quiet but defining. She remembers the exact second she realized that repeating herself was only exhausting her soul, not changing the situation. That's when the switch flips, from trying to be understood to protecting her peace. Once a woman reaches that place, it's nearly impossible to pull her back into the chaos she walked out of. That silence becomes her strength. 22. Women feel love through consistency, not promises. A woman doesn't fall for grand gestures alone. She falls for the small, repeated actions that tell her she matters. It's not about what someone says when everything's easy. It's about how they show up when things are hard. Consistency to a woman is love in motion. It's the quiet reassurance that she's safe, valued, and not just an afterthought. Words can melt her heart, but actions are what make it stay open. 23. A woman who loves deeply sees beauty in imperfections. When a woman truly loves someone, she sees their flaws not as reasons to leave, but as proof they're human. She memorizes their imperfections like poetry, not to fix them, but to understand them. Her love is rarely shallow. It's layered, patient, and often too forgiving. But once she realizes that love isn't being reciprocated with the same depth, she quietly gathers her heart and walks away. 24. Women notice when love starts to feel like a one-way street. She doesn't need someone to say it out loud. She notices when messages turn colder, when conversations become shorter, when their eyes stop lighting up at the sound of her voice. She notices when love starts to feel heavy. And even if she stays for a while, deep down, she's already preparing to let go. 25. A woman who loves her own company becomes hard to manipulate. When a woman learns to find peace in solitude, she becomes dangerous to anyone who tries to control her with attention or withdrawal. She's no longer chasing validation. She's choosing connection. When she enjoys her own company, love stops being a need and starts being a choice. 26. Women remember pain in silence, but they also heal in silence. Not every woman screams her pain out loud. Some bury it deep inside their chest, nursing it in the dark where no one can see. But just as they remember quietly, they also rise quietly. One day she wakes up and the weight is lighter. One day she stops checking her phone. One day she stops caring. Healing for women isn't always dramatic. It's often slow, silent, and unstoppable. 27. Women see through pretense faster than they reveal. A woman might not call it out immediately, but she knows when someone's pretending. She sees it in the way their words don't match their eyes. She feels it in the energy. And though she might give them the benefit of the doubt, she tucks that knowledge away. Because once a woman sees through you, she never really sees you the same way again. 28. When a woman starts loving herself, she rewrites her story. For years, she may have dimmed her light to make others comfortable, played small to fit into spaces too tight for her spirit. But once she starts loving herself, everything changes. She walks taller. She speaks with clarity. She demands respect not through anger, but through presence. Loving herself doesn't make her selfish. It makes her free. 29. Women don't always leave when they're hurt. Sometimes they leave when they're tired. Pain is one thing. Exhaustion is another. A woman can survive pain. But the endless weight of repeating cycles, unspoken disappointment, and feeling like she's carrying everything alone, that's what finally breaks her. And when she's tired, she doesn't slam the door. She simply stops knocking. 30. When a woman loves without fear, it's a rare kind of magic. When a woman chooses to love with her whole soul, not out of need, not out of fear of being alone, but simply because she wants to, it's something extraordinary. That love is pure, fearless, and luminous. It's the kind of love that can transform someone. But it only exists where she feels safe. Because the right love doesn't cage her. It lets her bloom. 31. When a woman smiles and says she's fine, she's usually protecting herself. When she says, "I'm fine," it's rarely about being fine at all. It's a quiet shield she builds in the moment, because explaining herself would either cost too much energy or open a wound she isn't ready to show. It's not about lying. It's about survival. She's protecting her heart from being dismissed, misunderstood, or belittled. Behind that calm smile often lives a storm she's choosing to weather alone. 32. Women remember the way they were treated long after they forget the words. She might forget what was said, but she will never forget how someone made her feel. The tone, the energy, the way they looked at her when she was vulnerable. Those are the fragments that get stored in her chest like tiny tattoos. That's why, when a woman grows distant, it's not always because of one big betrayal. Sometimes, it's the accumulation of small, unforgettable moments that changed how she sees someone forever. 33. A woman's instinct is rarely wrong. She just learns to doubt it. From a young age, women are taught to second-guess their intuition. But their gut, that quiet inner alarm, is usually right. She can feel the energy shift in a room. She can sense when someone's not being real. She knows when something's off. The tragedy isn't that she can't tell. It's that she often convinces herself to ignore it. But once she learns to trust that voice again, it becomes one of her greatest powers. 34. When a woman becomes quiet, she's already said everything in her mind 1,000 times. Her silence isn't emptiness. It's exhaustion. It's what happens when she's explained, defended, and hoped too many times. By the time she goes quiet, she's already cried in the dark, rehearsed the conversations, and accepted truths she didn't want to face. Her silence is never the beginning of a problem. It's the end. 35. Women who have been through pain love differently. A woman who's had her heart broken doesn't love with naive trust anymore. She loves with open eyes. She moves carefully, reads intentions like poetry, listens between the lines. But if someone earns her trust, her love is deeper than anyone can imagine, because she knows what it means to be shattered, and she'll never give a piece of herself lightly again. 36. Women hide their strongest emotions behind their softest expressions. She may look calm, her voice may sound steady, but inside, her soul could be shaking. Women often master the art of appearing fine even when they're not because they're deceptive, but because the world rarely gives them permission to fall apart. Her soft smile isn't weakness, it's armor. 37. Women notice who makes them feel safe without having to ask. Safety isn't just about protection, it's about presence. A woman remembers who listens when she speaks, who respects her boundaries without being told, who makes her feel seen in a world that often talks over her. She doesn't need declarations. She notices actions. And once she feels truly safe with someone, she loves with a loyalty that can't be bought or forced. 38. Women don't just fall in love with people, they fall in love with feelings. She remembers how someone made her laugh on a bad day, how their voice softened when they spoke to her, how their presence felt like home. For her, it's never just about looks. It's about energy, emotion, and connection. She falls in love with how someone makes her feel when the world gets quiet. 39. A woman's no isn't always loud, but it's final. When a woman says no softly, calmly, without explanation, That's the real boundary. She doesn't need to raise her voice to mean it. She's learned that real power doesn't need to scream. Her no comes from knowing her worth, from refusing to shrink. And anyone who mistakes her softness for weakness is about to meet steel wrapped in silk. 40. Women remember who held their silence gently. Some of the most unforgettable people in a woman's life aren't the loud ones. They're the ones who sat with her when she was quiet, who didn't rush her to explain, who respected her silence instead of trying to fill it. Because for a woman, being understood without words is rare, and rare is remembered. 41. When a woman trusts you enough to be vulnerable, that's sacred. Vulnerability doesn't come easily. It's earned. When she shows you her scars, when she tells you her fears, when she lets you see her raw, it's not weakness. It's one of the most powerful acts of courage she can give. If you betray that, you're not just breaking trust. You're breaking a part of her that took years to rebuild. 42. Women who love hard also hurt deeply. The same intensity with which she loves is the same intensity with which she bleeds when she's hurt. She doesn't love halfway, and she doesn't break halfway either. That's why when she heals, she becomes unrecognizable, stronger, wiser, harder to fool. 43. A woman who chooses herself isn't selfish. She's waking up. For years, she might have been told to put everyone else first, to shrink her needs, to be quiet. But the moment she realizes she matters just as much as anyone else, everything changes. She starts saying no without guilt. She walks away from what drains her. She stops begging to be chosen. She becomes the choice. 44. Women don't always forget. They just decide to stop bleeding over the same wound. She may smile again. She may laugh again. But that doesn't mean the pain never existed. It means she chose to stop letting it control her. Women have an unmatched ability to rebuild from ashes. But make no mistake, the lesson remains written in the deepest parts of them. 45. When a woman reclaims her power, she no longer seeks permission to exist. This is her final form, not the one built from pleasing, not the one shaped by fear, but the one forged in truth. She speaks without apology. She loves without begging. She walks with the weight of every battle she survived, and the grace of someone who knows exactly who she is. A woman in her power doesn't ask the world to understand her. She simply becomes. Behind every action, every emotion, every decision, lies a deeper story waiting to be uncovered. These facts will help you understand not only others, but yourself, shedding light on the invisible forces that shape our lives. 1. Your heart can recognize truth before your mind does. We often rely on our minds to guide us through life, believing that logic and reason will lead the way. But sometimes, your heart knows something long before your rational mind catches up. The gut feeling, the inner knowing, that whisper in your chest often tells you the truth before you have the facts. Our intuition is the body's way of protecting us, guiding us toward what feels right or wrong. Learning to listen to your heart can save you from confusion, helping you make decisions that align with your true self. 2. The most important person you will ever love is yourself. We often search for love outside of ourselves, thinking that someone else will complete us or bring us the happiness we desire. But the most profound and transformative love you can experience is the love you give yourself. Self-love isn't about vanity or selfishness. It's about recognizing your own worth and treating yourself with kindness, respect, and compassion. When you love yourself, you attract the love and energy that reflects that same value. Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship you will ever have. 3. Pain from the past is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of your resilience. When you look back on the painful experiences in your life, it's easy to see them as marks of failure. But the truth is, the pain you've endured is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It's a reflection of your ability to endure. Every hardship, every heartbreak, and every disappointment has taught you something, molded you into a stronger person. Your scars are proof of your survival, not your defeat. When you heal, you don't forget the pain. You learn from it, using it as a foundation to build a more resilient, empowered version of yourself. 4. Not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay. Sometimes, we hold on to people because we believe they're meant to be in our lives forever. But the reality is, not everyone you meet is meant to stay. People come into your life for reasons, seasons, or lifetimes. Some are meant to teach you a lesson, others to show you love, and some just to guide you through a specific chapter. The key is to accept that part of life is about learning to let go. Not everyone who enters your story is meant to make it to the final page. 5. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. The way you value and respect yourself is directly reflected in how others treat you. If you allow yourself to be treated poorly, you send a message that you don't deserve better. But when you respect your own boundaries, needs, and emotions, others will follow suit. Treat yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and consideration that you give to those you love. The energy you bring into the world is often the energy you attract. 6. Sometimes the best way to heal is to forgive without expecting anything in return. Forgiveness is often seen as a gift to the person who hurt you, but the real gift is for yourself. Holding on to anger or resentment is like carrying a weight that only you feel. When you forgive, you release the grip that the past has on you, freeing your heart to heal. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning someone's actions. It means letting go of the need for them to make things right. The only person who can truly heal from holding on to grudges is you. 7. You won't always be able to fix the situation, but you can control how you respond. Life is full of moments where things don't go as planned. Problems arise, challenges emerge, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But the one thing you always have control over is your response. You can't change other people's actions, and you can't always control the circumstances, but you can control your reaction. Your response is the space between stimulus and action. It's where your power lies. Learning to respond with patience, understanding, or strength can turn even the toughest situations into opportunities for growth. 8. You don't need everyone to understand you. You only need to understand yourself. We often seek validation from others, hoping that if they understand us, we'll feel more secure or loved. But the truth is, you don't need everyone to get you. You only need to understand yourself. Once you accept who you are and embrace your individuality, you stop needing others to approve of your choices or your life path. When you trust yourself, you stop searching for external approval and begin to live from a place of inner confidence. 9. True connection comes not from shared experience, but from shared understanding. We often think that the best relationships are built on shared experiences, memories, or activities. But true connection comes from shared understanding, the ability to look at someone and know that they see you for who you truly are. It's about being understood, not just being entertained or occupied together. The most meaningful relationships aren't those where you simply do things together. They're the ones where you feel seen and heard, where mutual respect and empathy lay the foundation for growth. 10. The most powerful thing you can do is let go of what you cannot control. We often waste time, energy, and peace trying to control things that are beyond our control. Whether it's other people's actions, the past, or future outcomes, trying to control the uncontrollable only creates frustration. The most powerful thing you can do is accept that some things are simply out of your hands. The act of letting go is an act of peace. It allows you to focus on what you can control: your actions, your mindset, and your choices. True strength comes from surrendering to what is and moving forward with intention. 11. You will always be who you are, but you can be who you choose to become. You are a reflection of your past, but you are not bound by it. Who you were does not have to define who you are becoming. Every day, you have the opportunity to choose the person you want to be. You are not fixed in the roles, labels, or mistakes from yesterday. The greatest freedom comes when you realize that while you can't change your past, you have complete control over who you decide to be today. Every choice you make shapes the future version of yourself. 12. Sometimes you have to walk away from people who don't value you in order to make room for the ones who do. We often stay in relationships or friendships because we're afraid of being alone or of losing what we've built. But sometimes, walking away is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. If someone consistently disrespects you, takes you for granted, or fails to appreciate your worth, leaving them doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're making room for relationships that will value and uplift you. The people who truly belong in your life will make space for you. 13. You can't keep people in your life who aren't willing to stay. Sometimes we cling to people who have already checked out, thinking we can change their minds or somehow make them stay. But the truth is, you cannot keep someone who doesn't want to be kept. Relationships require effort from both sides. If someone isn't willing to stay, no amount of love, effort, or sacrifice will make them. Real love is mutual. It's about both people choosing to stay, to fight, and to grow together. If someone walks away, it's a sign that it's time for you to let them go. 14. The hardest part of any transition is letting go of the person you were. Growth often requires a transformation, and transformation always means letting go of something, whether it's old habits, old relationships, or old beliefs. The hardest part of any transition is saying goodbye to the person you were. You might grieve the comfort of who you used to be, but it's important to understand that the person you're becoming requires a shift. Embrace the change, even when it feels uncomfortable. What's ahead is always worth the discomfort of shedding the old. 15. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. Your path is yours alone, and while others may not always understand it, their understanding isn't necessary for your success. People will offer advice, critique, and opinions. But at the end of the day, your journey is uniquely yours. You don't need everyone's approval, and you don't have to explain every decision you make. Your choices, no matter how unconventional they may seem, are leading you to where you need to be. Trust your path, even if others don't see the vision. 16. The more you try to control, the more you lose control. Life is unpredictable, and we often try to control every aspect: our relationships, careers, emotions, and outcomes. But the harder we try to control things, the more out of control they seem to become. Control stems from fear, fear of the unknown, fear of loss, and fear of failure. True peace comes when you accept that you cannot control everything. When you release the need for control, you create space for peace, for trust, and for unexpected opportunities. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means surrendering to the flow of life. 17. Your mind can create limits that your body hasn't even experienced yet. We often think we know our limits, but many of the boundaries we impose on ourselves are mental constructs, not physical ones. Our fears, doubts, and insecurities create limitations that aren't actually real. The body is capable of so much more than we give it credit for. But our minds hold us back, convincing us that we can't go further, try harder, or achieve more. Your mind often tells you you're done, even when your body is just getting started. The key to breaking through your limits is learning to quiet the doubts in your mind and trust the strength of your body and spirit. 18. You can only receive love to the extent that you love yourself. We are often taught to give love unconditionally, but the truth is, we can only accept love as deeply as we are willing to love ourselves. Self-love is the foundation upon which all healthy relationships are built. If you don't believe you deserve love, you'll struggle to receive it from others. The love you give yourself sets the standard for the love you accept. When you value yourself, you attract people who reflect that value. True love flows both ways, from within and from others. 19. The most important relationship you have is with yourself. We often place our happiness, worth, and sense of fulfillment in the hands of others: family, friends, romantic partners, or colleagues. But the truth is, the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. How you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself, and how you respect your own needs and boundaries will set the tone for how others treat you. When you nourish your relationship with yourself, you build a foundation of confidence, peace, and self-worth that no one can shake. 20. Sometimes the best way to move forward is to let go of the past. We all have experiences, memories, and relationships from the past that hold power over us. Holding on to these past events often keeps us stuck, living in what was instead of embracing what can be. The past has its lessons, but it doesn't have to define your future. Moving forward means releasing old hurts, letting go of regret, and choosing to focus on the present and the future. It's a brave act to step away from what's familiar, but it's often the only way to make space for the new growth that's waiting to enter your life. 21. Love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about seeing an imperfect person perfectly. We often look for perfection in our partners, believing that true love is about finding someone who meets all of our criteria. But real love is about seeing and accepting the imperfections of someone else, knowing that they are worthy of love just as they are. Love isn't about flawless beauty, perfect behavior, or never making mistakes. It's about understanding, patience, and kindness. True love doesn't come with conditions. It comes with acceptance. When you can see someone's flaws and love them anyway, that's the beauty of true connection. 22. You don't have to be everyone's first choice, as long as you're your own first choice. We often measure our worth by whether or not we're the first choice in someone's life, whether it's in relationships, friendships, or work. But the truth is, the most important choice you need to make is to choose yourself. When you are your own first choice, you stop seeking validation from others. You realize that your happiness, success, and fulfillment don't depend on someone else's opinion of you. The right people will choose you when they see that you've already chosen yourself. 23. You can't love fully until you learn to forgive, including yourself. Forgiveness is often thought of as something you offer to others, But the most powerful form of forgiveness is the one you give yourself. We are all imperfect, and we all make mistakes. The guilt and shame you carry can create barriers to love, not just from others, but from yourself. True healing comes when you release the weight of past mistakes and allow yourself to move forward with compassion and understanding. Forgiving yourself frees you to love yourself more deeply. And from that space, you can love others without fear or conditions. 24. You cannot fully love others until you love yourself without condition. Self-love is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You can't truly love others until you've learned to love yourself, all of you, even the parts you've been taught to hide or criticize. Love that is conditional, whether it's based on achievements, appearance, or behavior, is not real love. You must first love yourself unconditionally, flaws and all, before you can offer that love freely to others. Love starts with acceptance, the acceptance that you are enough, just as you are. 25. You don't have to understand everything. Sometimes you just have to trust the process. We often want to understand everything, why things happen, what went wrong, how the pieces of our lives fit together. But the truth is, some things are beyond our comprehension. The journey of life is filled with mystery, and there's no roadmap for every step you'll take. Trusting the process means letting go of the need for answers and allowing life to unfold as it will. You may not always understand why things are happening, but by trusting that everything is happening for a reason, you give yourself the space to grow, heal, and evolve. 26. What you think you can't live without is often the thing you need to let go of the most. Sometimes we become attached to people, things, or situations that we think are essential to our happiness or survival. But the truth is, these attachments can often weigh us down and prevent us from moving forward. The things we think we can't live without are often the things that are holding us back from living the life we're meant to have. The most freeing thing you can do is release what you've been holding on to out of fear and make space for what is truly meant for you. 27. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You just have to be who you are. We often stretch ourselves thin trying to please everyone around us, family, friends, colleagues, partners. But the truth is, you don't need to be everything to everyone. All you need to be is who you are, unapologetically and authentically. When you stop trying to fit into everyone else's expectations and embrace your true self, you'll attract the people and opportunities that are meant for you. The right people will appreciate you for who you are, not for who you think they want you to be. 28. The most significant lessons come from the most challenging times. We often try to avoid hardship, seeing it as something negative that we want to escape. But some of life's most significant lessons come from the challenges and struggles we face. Adversity forces us to grow, adapt, and discover strength we never knew we had. It's through the hardest times that we learn what truly matters, what we're capable of, and who we want to become. Life's challenges don't break us. They shape us into something stronger. 29. You're not defined by your past mistakes. You're defined by how you move forward. Too often, we let our past mistakes dictate our future. We carry the shame, guilt, or regret of things we wish we'd done differently. But the truth is, you are not your mistakes. Your past is just a series of events. It doesn't define who you are today. What defines you is how you move forward from those mistakes, how you learn, grow, and choose to make better choices. Your future is not written in your past, it's created by what you do next. 30. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply show up. In life, we often feel pressure to have all the answers, to be perfect, or to be prepared. But sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is show up. When you show up for yourself, for others, and for life, you give yourself the chance to grow, to learn, and to experience what's meant for you. You don't need to have everything figured out to take the next step. You just need to show up, even when it feels uncertain. Sometimes, just being present is the most important thing you can do. Everyone thinks they know why people act the way they do. But the truth is, the mind operates in mysterious ways. We may think we understand the reasons behind our behaviors, but in reality, there's more going on beneath the surface. Let's dive into some fascinating psychology facts that might just surprise you. 1. Your brain can't multitask effectively. While many people believe they can juggle multiple tasks at once, the human brain is not designed for true multitasking. Instead, it rapidly switches between tasks, which actually decreases efficiency and increases the chance of making mistakes. When you think you're multitasking, you're really just quickly toggling between different tasks, which reduces your brain's ability to focus on any one of them. Doing one task at a time helps you be more productive and accurate. 2. People are more likely to believe information if it's repeated. The mere exposure effect explains why repeated information seems more truthful over time. Your brain is more likely to accept repeated information as accurate simply because you've heard it before. This is why advertising works so well. If you hear a message over and over, you start to trust it, even if it's not entirely accurate. The more we hear something, the more familiar and reliable it seems. 3. Decision-making is influenced by emotion, not logic. Many people think they make decisions based on logic, but emotions actually play a larger role in decision-making than most realize. Even when we try to use reason, the brain's emotional centers influence our choices. Research shows that people who have damage to the emotional centers of their brain struggle to make even simple decisions, proving just how important emotion is in the process of deciding what to do. 4. The color green is associated with creativity. Green is often linked to creativity because it's a color that naturally appears in environments conducive to new ideas, such as nature. Studies have shown that being surrounded by the color green can enhance creativity and problem-solving abilities. This is why you might notice a spike in creative thinking when you're outdoors or in a green space. Your brain is responding to the calming and stimulating effects of the color. 5. People with high emotional intelligence, EQ, tend to be more successful. While IQ has long been seen as the most important predictor of success, emotional intelligence, EQ, is now recognized as a major factor in achieving success, especially in social and professional environments. People with high EQ are better at managing their emotions, understanding others' feelings, and handling interpersonal relationships. This gives them an advantage in both personal and career success. 6. You remember information better when you teach someone else. One of the best ways to remember information is to teach it to someone else. When you explain a concept or skill to another person, your brain is forced to recall and process the information more deeply, reinforcing your understanding. This method, known as the protégé effect, not only helps you remember better, but also boosts your self-confidence as you become more proficient in the subject. 7. The way you walk can influence how others see you. Your gait and body language say a lot about how confident or insecure you feel. Studies show that people can often determine your emotional state and personality just by watching how you walk. A person who walks with their head held high and shoulders back is generally perceived as more confident and competent, while someone with a slouched posture may be seen as less confident or even anxious. 8. Your subconscious mind can influence your decisions. Much of your behavior is controlled by your subconscious mind, which influences the decisions you make without you even realizing it. In fact, studies have shown that the subconscious mind can guide your choices before you're even consciously aware of them. This is why gut feelings or instincts can sometimes be so accurate. They are driven by your brain processing information on a subconscious level. 9. People are more likely to agree with you if you use their name. The power of a name is stronger than you might think. Using someone's name in conversation can make them feel more valued and respected. It helps form a connection between the speaker and the listener, triggering positive emotions. People tend to be more agreeable and responsive when their name is used, as it triggers recognition and a sense of importance. 10. Time pressure can lead to poor decisions. When you feel rushed or pressured by time, your brain doesn't have enough space to make well-thought-out decisions. Under time pressure, people are more likely to take shortcuts or make decisions based on emotion rather than logic. This is why it's often recommended to step away from high-stress situations and take a breather before making important decisions. 11. Your brain can be tricked by optical illusions. Optical illusions work because your brain interprets visual information based on its past experiences, expectations, and context. Your brain is constantly making assumptions about what you see, and these assumptions can sometimes lead you to misinterpret reality. Optical illusions take advantage of this by presenting visual information in a way that challenges your brain's assumptions and causes it to see something that isn't there. 12. People who are chronically lonely tend to live shorter lives. Loneliness can have a significant impact on your health. Studies have shown that people who experience chronic loneliness are more likely to suffer from a range of health issues, including high blood pressure, heart disease, and weakened immune systems. In fact, chronic loneliness has been linked to a higher risk of early death. Having strong social connections, on the other hand, can help extend your lifespan. 13. Tend to remember the beginning and end of experiences the most. This is known as the serial position effect. People are more likely to remember the first and last parts of an event or experience, while the middle parts are often forgotten. This is why the opening and closing moments of a presentation, speech, or meeting are so important. The beginning and end are the parts people remember most, so it's crucial to make them count. 14. Mirroring others can help you build rapport. When you subtly mimic someone's body language, tone of voice, or gestures, it creates a sense of connection and builds rapport. This is a natural, subconscious behavior that helps create trust and mutual understanding. It signals to the other person that you are in sync with them, making them more likely to feel comfortable and open around you. 15. Your brain likes routine because it conserves energy. Routines help your brain conserve energy by making tasks automatic. When you perform the same actions every day, your brain doesn't have to work as hard to process them. This is why habits, whether good or bad, can be so hard to break. The brain craves efficiency, and routines provide a way to streamline decision-making and reduce cognitive load. 16. People are drawn to those who are confident, even if they're wrong. Confidence can make people seem more attractive, even if they don't have all the facts right. Research shows that people are often drawn to individuals who speak with certainty and assertiveness, regardless of whether their information is accurate. This is because confidence signals to the brain that the person knows what they're talking about, even if they don't. 17. A messy environment can make you feel stressed. Studies have shown that cluttered or disorganized spaces can increase feelings of anxiety and stress. Your brain perceives clutter as a constant reminder of things that need attention, which can lead to mental overload. On the other hand, a clean and organized space can promote relaxation and help you focus better. 18. Your sense of smell is directly linked to memory. The sense of smell is closely tied to the limbic system, the part of your brain that processes emotions and memories. This is why certain smells, like the scent of a particular perfume or food, can trigger vivid memories and emotions. Scents have a powerful ability to bring memories to the surface, sometimes even before you consciously realize what they are. 19. Writing by hand improves memory retention. When you write something down by hand, your brain engages more actively than when you type. Writing by hand requires you to think about the material more deeply, which helps reinforce the information. Studies have shown that people who take handwritten notes tend to remember the material better than those who use a computer or phone. 20. People are more likely to remember negative experiences than positive ones. The brain is wired to prioritize negative experiences because, from an evolutionary standpoint, recognizing threats was crucial for survival. This negativity bias means that negative events are more likely to stick in your memory, while positive experiences may fade away over time. While this can help us avoid dangers, it can also lead to excessive worry or rumination on past mistakes. 21. People are more likely to take risks when they're in a group. When individuals are part of a group, they tend to take more risks than they would alone. This is known as risky shift behavior. The presence of others often makes people feel more invincible or less accountable for their actions. This is why group decisions, such as in business or social settings, can sometimes lead to riskier choices than individual decisions would. The group dynamic often amplifies confidence, sometimes leading to overconfidence and poor judgment. 22. Listening to music can enhance your workout performance. Music has the power to motivate and improve physical performance. When you listen to music while exercising, it boosts your mood and reduces the perception of effort, making physical tasks seem easier. Fast-paced music, in particular, can increase endurance and intensity during a workout. This happens because music activates areas of the brain that are associated with motivation and pleasure, helping you push through physical barriers. 23. People who are surrounded by nature tend to be more generous. Research shows that people who spend more time in natural environments are more likely to exhibit pro-social behavior, like helping others. Nature has a calming effect on the mind and increases feelings of empathy and connectedness, which makes people more likely to be generous and compassionate. This is why many charities and volunteer organizations encourage outdoor activities to help foster a spirit of community and goodwill. 24. We tend to overestimate our ability to control situations. Humans often believe they have more control over their environment than they actually do. This illusion of control is especially common in situations that involve chance, like gambling or investments. People are often convinced that their actions will directly influence outcomes, even when those outcomes are random. This overestimation can lead to poor decision-making and unnecessary risk-taking. 25. Physical touch can build trust between people. Physical touch is a powerful way to build trust and create bonds between people. Simple gestures like a handshake, a pat on the back, or a hug can increase feelings of connection and trust. Research shows that physical touch activates oxytocin, the hormone responsible for bonding and attachment. This is why touch is often used in therapy, counseling, and even business negotiations to help establish rapport and trust. 26. Smiling can improve your mood, even if it's forced. Even if you're not feeling happy, forcing a smile can actually improve your mood. The simple act of smiling triggers the release of dopamine and serotonin in the brain, chemicals that are responsible for making you feel good. This is called the facial feedback hypothesis, which suggests that facial expressions can influence our emotions. So, next time you're feeling down, try smiling, even if it feels unnatural at first. It could help you feel better. 27. Your brain is wired to focus on faces. Humans are naturally drawn to faces. From an early age, our brains are programmed to recognize faces, making them one of the most important things we notice. This is why facial recognition is one of the most specialized processes in the brain. The brain dedicates a specific region for face processing, making us particularly sensitive to facial expressions and emotions. This ability is so ingrained that even inanimate objects or abstract patterns can sometimes appear to have faces, a phenomenon known as pareidolia. 28. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it can reduce stress. While wealth doesn't necessarily increase happiness, it can reduce financial stress, which in turn improves overall well-being. Research has shown that having enough money to meet basic needs, like housing, food, and healthcare, can increase happiness because it alleviates anxiety. However, once these needs are met, additional income doesn't lead to a significant increase in happiness. The key is financial security, not wealth for the sake of luxury. 29. Being kind to others makes you feel good. Acts of kindness, big or small, have been shown to improve the well-being of the giver. When you help someone, your brain releases oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, which increases feelings of happiness and satisfaction. This is why many people feel a sense of joy when they help others, whether it's through volunteering, giving advice, or simply offering a compliment. Kindness is not only beneficial to the receiver, but also enhances the giver's emotional health. 30. People can develop a fear of success. While most people fear failure, some individuals also develop a fear of success. This fear stems from the anxiety about the changes and expectations that come with achieving success. People with this fear may sabotage their efforts, procrastinate, or avoid pursuing goals altogether to avoid the pressures associated with success. This phenomenon can be rooted in self-doubt, fear of judgment, or a lack of self-worth. 31. We are more likely to remember events that have emotional significance. Humans have a tendency to remember events that are tied to strong emotions, whether positive or negative. Emotional experiences are encoded more deeply in the brain and are often recalled with more clarity and detail than neutral experiences. This is because the brain's emotional center, the amygdala, plays a crucial role in memory formation. This is why you can vividly recall moments of joy, sadness, or excitement long after they occur. 32. The brain has a negativity bias. Humans are wired to pay more attention to negative experiences than positive ones. This negativity bias is an evolutionary adaptation designed to help humans avoid danger. Early humans needed to remember threats and negative outcomes to survive. As a result, the brain reacts more strongly to negative stimuli and experiences, often dwelling on them longer than positive ones. This bias can lead to excessive worry and anxiety, but it can also help individuals stay alert to potential risks. 33. People's behavior can be influenced by the power of suggestion. The human mind is highly suggestible. People can change their thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs based on subtle suggestions or cues, often without realizing it. This is why advertising, social media, and even hypnosis can have such a powerful impact on people's decisions. The mind can be influenced by framing, how information is presented, and the words used, even if the person doesn't consciously agree with the suggestion. 34. The act of giving can boost your happiness. Giving, whether it's through donations, volunteering, or simple acts of kindness, can increase feelings of happiness and fulfillment. Studies have shown that the act of giving activates the reward centers in the brain, releasing dopamine and creating a sense of joy. This is why people who regularly engage in charitable acts tend to report higher levels of satisfaction and well-being. Giving not only benefits the recipient, but also enhances the giver's emotional health. 35. People are more likely to remember faces than names. Humans are incredibly adept at recognizing faces, but we often struggle to remember names. This is because the brain processes faces in a specialized region, the fusiform face area, while names are processed in a different part of the brain. While faces are recognized by a dedicated system that prioritizes visual features, names require more cognitive effort to recall and are often forgotten more easily. 36. Fear can impair your decision-making abilities. When you're afraid, your brain goes into survival mode, which limits your ability to think clearly. The amygdala, which is responsible for processing emotions like fear, can hijack the decision-making process, causing you to make impulsive or irrational choices. This is why people often make bad decisions when they're under stress or in high-pressure situations. It's important to recognize when fear is clouding your judgment and take a step back before making decisions. 37. People who practice gratitude are happier. Gratitude is one of the most effective ways to improve mental health and happiness. Studies have shown that people who regularly practice gratitude by keeping a gratitude journal or simply taking time to reflect on things they're thankful for experience higher levels of happiness and satisfaction. Gratitude activates the brain's reward system and helps individuals focus on the positive aspects of their lives, leading to a more optimistic outlook. 38. The halo effect can shape your perceptions of others. The halo effect is a cognitive bias where our overall impression of a person influences how we perceive their individual traits. For example, if someone is physically attractive, we are more likely to assume that they are also intelligent, kind, or capable. This bias can lead to unfair judgments, as people often make assumptions based on a single characteristic, rather than evaluating someone more holistically. 39. Your brain rewires itself with new experiences. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. This means that your brain can adapt to new experiences, learn new skills, and recover from injuries by creating new pathways. Whether you're learning a language, picking up a new hobby, or recovering from trauma, your brain has the incredible ability to change and grow in response to the challenges you face. 40. People tend to believe they have more control over their lives than they actually do. The illusion of control is a cognitive bias, where individuals believe they have more control over their lives and outcomes than they actually do. This can lead to overconfidence and risk-taking behavior. While some level of control is important for success, it's essential to recognize that many factors are outside of our control, and learning to let go can reduce stress and anxiety. The human heart and mind are filled with endless complexities, emotions that run deeper than most are willing to admit. These next truths will uncover the hidden layers of our lives and give you new perspectives on the things that shape us. 1. The greatest comfort you can give yourself is acceptance. We often find ourselves chasing perfection or trying to meet the expectations of others, but the most powerful act of self-love is acceptance. Accepting yourself, flaws, quirks, mistakes, is the first step toward inner peace. It's about loving yourself, not for who you could be, but for who you are right now. When you accept yourself, you stop seeking validation from the outside world and start filling yourself with the love you've been searching for. True peace begins when you embrace every part of yourself, even the parts you once wished to change. 2. The people who are the most afraid of love are the ones who need it the most. It's easy to assume that people who push love away or seem emotionally distant are indifferent. But in truth, they may be the ones who need love the most. Fear of love often stems from past wounds, where vulnerability was met with betrayal, abandonment, or pain. Those who shut love out often do so because they are scared of getting hurt again. They want love, but they're terrified of losing it. The challenge is not to force love on them, but to show them that it's safe to open their hearts again. Healing starts with trust, and trust is built slowly, one act of kindness at a time. 3. You can't change what happened, but you can change the way you react to it. The events of your past are set in stone. No amount of regret or frustration can alter what's already happened. But you have the power to choose how you respond to those events. Your reaction shapes how you experience the world moving forward. When you shift your perspective and let go of the need to control the past, you begin to reclaim your peace. Healing comes not from erasing the past, but from learning to live with it and choosing to let it go when the time is right. 4. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is walk away from something that no longer serves you. It takes a great deal of strength to let go of something or someone you've invested in. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a job that drains you, or a lifestyle that no longer aligns with your values, walking away often feels like a loss. But true courage lies in knowing when it's time to walk away, to stop holding on to something that's keeping you from becoming the person you were meant to be. Letting go is not an act of failure. It's an act of faith. Faith that better things are ahead. The fear of failure is really a fear of not being enough. We fear failure not because of the setback itself, but because it often feels like a personal reflection of our worth. Failure triggers our deepest insecurities. The fear that we're not smart enough, capable enough, or worthy enough to succeed. But failure is not an indictment of who you are. It's simply a step on the path to success. Every failure is a lesson, not a statement about your value. It's a chance to try again, to grow, and to get closer to who you are meant to be. 6. True strength comes from your ability to be vulnerable. We often think of strength as stoicism or the ability to power through hardship without showing emotion. But true strength is found in vulnerability. It takes immense courage to show up as your authentic self, to allow others to see your weaknesses, and to open up about your fears and struggles. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's a source of power. It's through vulnerability that we connect with others, heal our wounds, and build the meaningful relationships that shape our lives. 7. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. Sometimes, we stay in situations or relationships that cause us pain because they're familiar or because we feel obligated. But healing requires change. A change in environment, perspective, and sometimes, people. You cannot expect to thrive in the same space that has been feeding your wounds. Healing comes when you create a new environment, one that nurtures your growth, your peace, and your well-being. Letting go of the old and stepping into a new space isn't just a change of scenery. It's a change of mindset. 8. You can miss someone and still know that letting go is the right choice. The heart and mind can be in conflict when it comes to love. You can miss someone deeply, still long for their presence, and yet know that walking away is the right decision. Missing someone doesn't mean you should return to them. Sometimes we grieve what could have been, what we thought we needed. But moving forward often requires letting go. It's not about erasing love from your heart. It's about choosing to love yourself enough to step away from what isn't meant for you. 9. You cannot move forward if you're always looking back. The past is a series of moments that have already happened. It's natural to reflect, to learn from past experiences. But when we focus too much on what has already occurred, we prevent ourselves from moving forward. Life is in the present moment, and the future is waiting for you. While it's important to honor your past, don't let it define your future. Letting go of what no longer serves you allows you to open yourself to new possibilities. 10. People who don't believe in themselves often don't believe in others either. Self-doubt doesn't only impact the person who is experiencing it. It can create walls between them and those around them. People who struggle with their own self-worth may find it difficult to trust others or believe in their potential, leading to a cycle of isolation and frustration. When you don't trust yourself, it's hard to trust the people around you. Healing starts when you rebuild your own belief in yourself. Only then can you truly open yourself to others. 11. Love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means letting go. We often associate love with holding on, with trying to make things work no matter how hard it gets. But sometimes, love means knowing when to walk away. Letting go of someone doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you love them enough to let them go when it's no longer healthy for either of you to stay. Love is not about possession. It's about caring for someone in a way that allows them to grow, even if that means they need to grow apart from you. 12. You can never truly love someone until you learn to love yourself. Self-love isn't just about self-care rituals or affirmations. It's about knowing your own worth. It's about accepting your flaws and seeing your value regardless of external opinions. Only when you learn to love yourself fully can you truly love another. Love that comes from self-acceptance is unconditional and whole, not dependent on what the other person can give you. When you love yourself, you are able to love others in a deeper, more authentic way. 13. The most important person you will ever meet is yourself. Before you seek validation from others or chase external successes, take a moment to ask yourself what truly matters. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you build with yourself. The way you see yourself, the love you give yourself, and the respect you afford yourself set the tone for everything else in your life. The key to lasting happiness and success starts with knowing and accepting who you are right now. 14. You cannot fill a void with other people. We often look to others to fill the emotional gaps in our lives, whether it's love, validation, or attention. But the truth is, the only way to truly fill an emotional void is to address it within yourself. You can't rely on others to make you whole. Relationships should complement your life, not complete it. You must first learn to find peace within yourself, and only then will your connections with others become more meaningful and fulfilling. 15. Change is scary, but it's also the key to your growth. Change can be one of the most terrifying experiences. It takes us out of our comfort zone, challenges our beliefs, and forces us to adapt. But without change, there is no growth. Change is the catalyst for new opportunities, new relationships, and new perspectives. The pain you feel during change is simply the resistance to your own evolution. Embrace it. The discomfort means you're moving forward. 16. Healing isn't about fixing yourself. It's about accepting that you're whole even in your imperfections. We often view healing as a process of becoming whole again after pain, heartbreak, or loss. But the truth is, we are always whole, even in our brokenness. Healing isn't about fixing what's broken inside you. It's about accepting yourself exactly as you are, flaws and all. True healing happens when you embrace all parts of yourself, including the imperfections, mistakes, and scars. These pieces of you are not your weaknesses. They're your strength. Healing is about self-acceptance and realizing that you don't have to be perfect to be complete. 17. The more you try to please others, the more you lose touch with yourself. When you prioritize pleasing others over being true to yourself, you start to lose sight of who you are. You mold yourself to fit what others expect, often at the expense of your own desires, needs, and values. The more you try to please others, the more you move away from your own truth. You become a reflection of what others want, not who you truly are. The key to regaining your sense of self is to stop seeking approval and start living authentically. When you align with your own heart, the people who truly value you will be drawn to your authenticity. 18. You can be loving without sacrificing yourself, and you can be strong without being hard. True love doesn't require you to lose yourself in the other person. It doesn't demand that you give up your individuality or constantly put the other's needs above your own. In fact, love is healthiest when both people can maintain their independence while still sharing their hearts. Strength doesn't mean shutting off your emotions or hiding your vulnerability. It means having the courage to be open, to love without losing yourself, and to show compassion without letting others take advantage of your kindness. 19. The most powerful form of self-care is learning to say no. We often think of self-care as indulgence, a spa day, a nice meal, a relaxing evening. But the truest form of self-care is learning to set boundaries. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you self-respecting. Every time you say yes to something that drains your energy, you say no to your own peace. Boundaries are the foundation of self-respect. When you learn to say no to what doesn't serve you, you create space for what nourishes you, for the relationships and activities that align with your true self. 20. Letting go of the past means giving yourself permission to embrace the future. Many of us are trapped in the past, replaying old wounds, mistakes, or missed opportunities. But the past can't be changed, and holding on to it only limits our future. Letting go of the past isn't about erasing it from memory. It's about choosing to stop letting it dictate how you live today. When you release old attachments, old regrets, and old patterns, you give yourself permission to move forward. Only then can you truly embrace the possibilities that the future holds. 21. The deepest connections are made when you're not afraid to be vulnerable. Vulnerability isn't a sign of weakness. It's the gateway to authentic connection. When we let our guard down, we invite others to do the same. Real intimacy is built when we share our deepest fears, desires, and imperfections. We often avoid vulnerability because we fear rejection or judgment. But the truth is, vulnerability invites trust and understanding. When you allow yourself to be seen, truly seen, by others, you create a bond that transcends superficiality and reaches the heart of who you both are. 22. It's not the endings that hurt. It's the unfinished stories left in your heart. We often believe that the hardest part of relationships or experiences is the ending, the final goodbye, the breakup, the loss. But what hurts most is the feeling that the story was left unfinished, that there was more to say, more to experience, more to be explored. It's the unanswered questions, the unsaid words, and the unfulfilled potential that weigh on us. While closure may never come, the healing process begins when we accept that sometimes the most important part of the story is what we choose to carry forward with us. The lessons, the love, and the memories. 23. You can't fix everything, and you shouldn't have to. We often try to fix everything around us, relationships, situations, even people. But the truth is, some things cannot be fixed. Some wounds take time to heal. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is not try to fix the problem, but simply to be present, to listen, and to offer support. Healing isn't about making everything better. It's about accepting that not everything can be fixed and learning to sit with the discomfort of that truth. You don't have to carry the burden of solving everything. Sometimes, being there is enough. 24. Your worth is not defined by what you do, but by who you are. In a world that values productivity and achievement, it's easy to fall into the trap of defining your worth by what you do. But your value is not measured by your accomplishments, titles, or possessions. Your worth is intrinsic, rooted in who you are as a person. Your kindness, your integrity, your capacity for love. When you start to define yourself by the love you give and the authenticity you live, you free yourself from the constant need to prove your worth to others. 25. Love isn't a feeling. It's a decision that you make every day. We often think of love as a feeling that comes and goes, something that sweeps us off our feet. But real love is a decision, a commitment to show up every day, even when it's hard. Love is in the actions, not just the emotions. It's choosing to support someone when they're at their lowest, to celebrate their successes, and to be patient when they struggle. Love isn't a moment. It's a choice you make every single day, in every interaction, in every gesture of care and kindness. 26. You can't find peace by comparing yourself to others. In today's world of social media and constant comparison, it's easy to measure our worth against others. But peace comes when you stop looking outside yourself for validation and start accepting yourself as you are. The truth is, everyone is on their own journey, with their own struggles and triumphs. Comparing yourself to someone else's path only breeds insecurity and discontent. When you embrace your own journey, when you trust your own timeline, you find peace in knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. 27. Sometimes, the hardest part of growth is accepting the fact that you can't fix the past. We often try to rewrite the past, reliving old conversations, rethinking decisions, and wishing things had turned out differently. But the truth is, you can't change what has already happened. The past is set in stone, and holding on to it prevents you from growing. The hardest part of growth is letting go of the need to fix what's already been done. Healing happens when you make peace with what is and focus on how you can move forward. 28. Sometimes, you have to let go of who you think you should be to be who you really are. We all have expectations of ourselves, shaped by societal norms, family expectations, or past experiences. These expectations can create a mask that you wear every day, a version of yourself that isn't true to who you really are. True freedom comes when you shed the mask and allow yourself to be who you really are, not who you think you should be. Letting go of these false versions of yourself is the first step in embracing your true potential. 29. you will never be fully ready for the next step. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't take it. We often wait for the perfect moment, for the right circumstances, for the ideal conditions to take the next step in life. But the truth is, you'll never feel fully ready. There will always be uncertainties, fears, and doubts. The secret is not in waiting until everything is perfect. It's in taking that first step, even when you're unsure. The only way to truly move forward is to embrace the discomfort of change and trust that you're ready enough. 30. Peace isn't found in a place, it's found within you. We often search for peace in external circumstances, in places, people, or achievements. But true peace doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. It's an internal state of acceptance, a feeling of calm that exists regardless of what's happening around you. The most peaceful people are those who've learned to cultivate peace in their own hearts, to remain centered even in chaos. Peace comes when you stop searching for it and start creating it within yourself.